We have first aid kits. This are also they're right here. Your gloves are right here in this end of the deal. First aid kits here. We do have AEDs are up here behind the cab. They got a bungee cord on them, and they're pretty tight. If you can't get them off, and we need it. Go ahead and cut the bungee cord off if you can't get it unhooked. So,
show you what one looks like real quick.
That's what they look like. If you're not certified to use it, don't use it.
Okay, who in here, I know the answer, but if you had the AED, American Red Cross training, in your current, put your hand up. There's 3 or 4 back there. All of it. Gene, you've had it.
My hand's up.
A lot of us have been through it. We're going to do it every 2 or 3 years. So there are people usually on each crew that have training. Jim's got training. So and this is a unit right here with some pretty easy instructions on it, but that'll give you a jolt. Bring it back.
So on the fire side of things, we got drip torches, we got helmets and everything. On the off side over there by Larry, there's on that box on the trucks, there's drip torch fuel in there and gasoline for the pumps and for the trucks. Don't put it in the tractors; they're diesel tractors. So, like Gene said, there's drip torch fuels in the blue can, and it says drip torch fuel on the top. So it's not kerosene. Gasoline's in a red can. Just please don't get mixed up with stuff and put drip torch fuel in the tractors because it's got diesel fuel in it. There's no way faster to wreck stuff than to have a bunch of gasoline in a diesel. When we mix just for FYI, when we mix drip torch fuel, we use a 3-to-1 mixture. We use 75% diesel fuel with 25% gasoline, and that. If you read on the drip torch manual, they say you only go 20%. We're going a little hot, but like Gene says, it's not anything to be scared. Well, it's hard to light the stuff when the grass is a little damp and you're trying to get it going. And if you're in a hurry and something's happening, so we went to a little hotter mixture. It doesn't really have to be that hot, but it's a little more convenient.
And most of the time, Jim is the bartender. He mixes almost all of our drip. We know it's right that way.
Yeah.
Well.
Part of the reason is we got problems with our deal down at the deal. It's not exactly.
It doesn't measure accurately.
It doesn't measure accurately.
So 14%
like
off.
Anyway, okay. On the trucks here, we've got here in these nice little channels. There's a couple suction hoses. If we're going to transfer water, we use this. This is the pressure side, so we unscrew the cap here, stick the 2 hoses together, and usually stick it in the tank fill hole. If you're by yourself, you can hook up to the suction side on the other unit. It's just more complicated. Usually you're usually never by yourself. We have flappers on the trucks. They're over here on this side, and like Gene says, they don't work well to swat. They work better if you just drag it along, and helps sometimes you put your foot on it. I will caution you, they don't really work well when the ground is so dry that you're not getting rid of the heat, and you have to kind of go back and do it over again. If it gets that bad, there's a shovel on the other side over by Larry, and there's also a fire rake over there, which is an aggressive little rake. Let me grab the one off here. Also, there should be 3 flappers on this trailer. I think they're on the off side on this trailer. We usually try to put 1 or 2 over here so there's no head. This is a fire rake. If you're a farm kid, you know that it's a set of sickle sections out of a mower or something, but it's good for breaking up stuff. And but this is kind of an interesting tool. You can get yourself in a lot of trouble when you're moving stuff with a fire rake. You always move it towards the fire if you've got black. If you're just doing something where there isn't any fire, I don't care. But when you got burning stuff, you don't want to rake the burning stuff over to the combustible side. Leave the burning stuff over on the other side. So, but it's sometimes we have to do it. We get litter that's heavy. One of the worst things is we use a big round baler to bale most of the fire guards that we can get to out there. Well, when you leave a bale, it always drips off a whole bunch of hay, so you get a big pile of thatch or mulch, if you will. And this is about the only way to deal with it if it's heavy enough. You never want to leave a smoldering pile of stuff. I don't care how much water you put on it. You're never going to get it all put out until you break it all up. It's just if it's still smoldering even the least little bit, it will combust again and it'll be fire when you come back to it, and possibly get you into a whole pack of trouble with a jump out. Let's see. Oh, here's the shovels we have on here, just square nose shovels, and at least you can remove the fuel with them. We've sharpened the edges so they're like a fire service shovel. There's drip torch fuel back here, and gasoline on this unit. There's a funnel in this old ammo can back here, and when you're riding, like Gene was saying, when you're riding on these trailers, this is the seat. This is a wheel. You get your feet under there, it's going to crush your, break. Try not to get in here and walk on stuff. That's you stay from here on back. On the trucks, there's radio up there. We got a cell phone in those trucks. Up here behind the seats is a whole bunch of goodies. I know a lot of you can't see this, but we've got a set of jumper cables behind here, extra filters for the air filters for the deal. There should be a quart of oil in here, and most of all, there's a soft pack Indian tank. Everybody know what an Indian tank is? Indian is a brand tank. They're a portable tank. They have what they call a trombone pump on them, and they squirt water. They hold about 5 gallons of fluids, so they're heavy. But sometimes you're in places when a wildfire you can't get into with anything else but one of these. Prescribed burning, never use them. But they are behind there. They're a yellow thing about that long, and they're rolled up, and they've got a trombone pump on like this. These are back in here in case we need to come back and get them for whatever reason. Oh, matches and lighters are in the glove box on these trucks. If you're given a torch and you need to find a lighter or something, don't have one on yourself.
Oh, if you're a stripper, or if you're sent off on a long expedition to go do some burning along, you need to take a lighter with you, because sometimes you lose your fire and you need to relight it. So it's just good to have one with you.
Greg, you got any comments?
No, other than the fact that you got a lot of information thrown at you today, and it was probably intimidating, and you'll forget 90% of it by the time you drive out. And it'll all make a lot more sense once you do it once.
I was thinking about having an essay test, but I won't have it.
Don't be afraid, because if you're new, no one's going to put 3 new people on a truck and say, okay, you're in charge of the truck. And if you screw up, you're fired.
And don't feel bad if you get yelled at. Everybody's going to get yelled at.
We're not mad because we're yelling. We're trying to communicate in maybe an urgent way, or just making sure you can hear about it. It's not personal.
Once you've done a burn or two, you'll see a lot of this will just all come together, and you'll see it's like a ballet. It all comes together in choreography and motion.
No tutus.
That's right.
Eva.
I have that picture in my mind.
I have a couple of comments. One is, since I drive tractor, don't get between the tractor and the trailer unless the tractor driver knows you're there, because sometimes I'll move ahead, I'm watching the fire, I may not look behind me. So make sure if you're between the tractor and the trailer for whatever reason, make sure we know you're there so we don't run over you.
She's talking about me generally.
And the other comment is, when you're wearing all this protective gear, you don't feel the heat of the fire. And I've seen people come out of the fire with their masks melted. So pay attention to that. You don't want to end up in there where it's so hot that you're starting to melt your gear.
I would recommend at least two natural layers, cotton, wool. It's not so much that it's more of a protection for you if you get in trouble.
And nylon and rayon, even if they don't catch on fire, they'll melt. But they also get hot. They transmit the heat into your skin a lot better than cotton and stuff does. So,
Guys, zippers on on Levi's get pretty hot sometimes.
You have to ask for help? Is that what you're saying?
Toasted hot dogs. As somebody here was saying, don't be scared. I can still remember the first time I came out. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't grow up around this kind of stuff, although I had a forest fire experience, but not controlled stuff. They stuck me on a flapper way behind the second truck. Nice place to watch, and eventually they let me go up and drive a truck. But it's not bad, not near as bad as it sounds here.
Yeah, but you were on flapper for 20 years.
He kept squatting. He kept squatting. One other thing on this, we try and burn, if we got a good burn day, we will burn all day if we can. But we don't burn into the night. We don't do night burning. It's just too dangerous, generally speaking. So there are some days in which we will come out and we'll have long days. There are a lot of other days, most of them, in which they're not. We quit by 3 or 4 o'clock so people can get in, particularly if we're going to burn the next day. We don't want to burn all day long, and then if we're going to be burning the next day, because people are just wiped out about that. So we'll have some days that are tough and other days that are not so tough. Particularly when we do this stuff around headquarters, no big deal. This year we're kind of lucky in a sense, but I don't want to give you false security. Tremendously low biomass production last year, which will mean much cooler files than normal. Sometimes when we got like in 05, the production in 2004 was a record high that we've ever had. It was 6-7 foot tall down in Lowland. That was a dangerous year for burning because it just so much biomass production. Now this year, about like that. But still in the ungrazed areas there are decent amounts of grass, so you still have to use caution, particularly if the humidity's low or the winds start picking up. But we hope that you kind of get some kind of feel for what we do and why we do it out of this. We invite you to come, sign up, have fun, keep coming back for what, 10 years like Jackie? And
It's going on 15.
and get some direct exposure to what we do, and maybe gradually understand why we do what we do, because it's quite different from what everybody else in the Flint Hills does.
And it's different than what you learn in forestry, in the with U.S. forestry in the burning. Our burning is different.
But we have a different objective too. And so with that, I think everybody who signed up, that I can read your name, will get 2 hours credit toward your Konza service. If I can't read your name, you're not going to get the credit. That's a sacrifice you pay. But that'll teach you. But other than that, sign up on the web sheet. I can guarantee you we will not be burning next week. I can guarantee you. But once we kick in, normally the way it goes, we get about 1 burn in a week in March. Because that's about all we get good weather-wise. And when we get an east wind, we're going to work all day long. And maybe half the night in order to get the east side done. That's when we need a lot of help. We burn the bison units. Everybody who wants to show up just about can if you notify me, because we'll be running a lot of drip torches. So, because we got a good large area to burn in the bison area this year. So, be patient, sign up, get some exposure to what we're doing. And I thank you for coming.